For example, professions like the one I belong to, it's so hard to find that you're disagreeing in principle. Now, for us in accounting, whenever you disagree in principle, that is, for example, you posted a transaction in a certain way, then the auditors come, they say, but this is wrong. There's always like harmony because you discuss principles. Sometimes the auditors can be wrong. Sometimes the accountant can be wrong when the accountant is in error, or maybe the accountant did it in for frauding, and you harmonize, and then you start working. You end up working together. Look at lawyers. You find that one side is on this side defending a criminal, another side is on this side prosecuting the criminal. But then at the end of the year, you're going to find them together at Uganda Law Society, shaking hands, and even and even at some point you find that there are some clients where you find these guys are actually working together. But now the problem with these guys who study the Bible, a guy who studied from UCU can never be on the same table with someone who studied from the theology of the Catholics. Everyone would be having different views, or someone who studied from Bugema. So they can never come and agree on the same table. So that's why I think it cannot be compared as these professionals for engineering, doctors, and accounting.
Fred, are you done? The moderator.
Hey, I thought it was my network, but I'm done. Maybe I just need to be enlightened on that.
No, your network is actually now clearer than it was before.
Hey, okay.
Yeah, Petson, I don't know whether I will recollect my history very well, but theology is one of the first courses in the world of academia. It was theology, philosophy, and mathematics. I hope I remember. Someone can ask some professors. I can see Professor Silvide is here, and maybe they can also Google that. But philosophy is among the first, either 2 or 3 disciplines of academia. So theology is a professional course. But like I said in our chat on WhatsApp, what confuses you is the customization of theology. Theology has been customized to fit the interests of those who study theology, and it has been used, and it is the most abused course and the most abused profession. So in the world of, for instance, in the world of Christendom, because that's what Professor Silvide advised me to pronounce the word. So in the world of Christendom, Catholics have, in fact, let me first talk about the Catholics. Catholics have those theologians who have studied theology as a profession and as it is. And most of those actually, they belong to the sect of the earliest Jesuits. The earliest Jesuits were studied theology as a profession and addressed it as it is. But as time went on, Catholicism also customized theology. And in fact, when you go to those their libraries. They have each and every book, and they buy each and every book that any theologian writes from any school of thought. And Catholicism has got the biggest library. And that's why it even has some of the toughest theologians. But again, Catholicism has a wing of theologians that are apologetic, that are Catholic apologists. Now, in that area, they have customized theology. So when you go to their seminaries, they don't teach theology as it is. No, they teach customized theology, what we call Catholic theology. So what you see, Mr. Asimwe, in these denominations in Christendom is a customization of theology, and that was Catholicism. When you turn and go to other Protestant wings like the Anglican Church, the Anglican Church also has those theologians, and I'll give you one of them because I know one of them. In Catholicism, I'll also mention one if I'm reminded about it. But in Catholicism, there is in the Anglican Church, there was a guy known as John Stott. He died when he was 80 years old. He endeavored to exhibit theology as it is. He really tried. But one of their greatest that I know, they might have a greater one, but the one of their greatest that I know is called Thomas Wright. Now, Thomas Wright is an Anglican guy, but when you read his books and listen to his presentations, he oozes theology as it is, not the customization of theology, even though he's an Anglican and he has not even left the church. The Anglican Church, he has it. But when he speaks theology as it is. And when he preaches in the Anglican congregation, he preaches. Sometimes he preaches theology, then sometimes he goes apologetic. And I think one of the things that have helped him is because he has spent most of his time writing theology, teaching theology. So somehow, somewhere, N.T. Wright, that's Thomas Wright, he has survived the customization of theology. When I went to Bugema University in 2010, that's when I went to Bugema University. I normally tell this story that I found two classes of teachers of theology. There were a class of teachers of theology who were about Adventism, because Bugema University is a Seventh Adventist institution. So this class of teachers told me that if I had come to defend the Seventh Adventist, because that was one of my reasons why I went to the university. So this class of teachers told me that the reason that has brought me to this university to defend the SDA, because by then I knew and understood that was the one true church of God. So this class of teachers told me that we are going to help you and equip you for that. They even showed me a level in the library, because Bugema University has got two levels. I don't know whether that has changed since then. The upper level had all the Adventist books, the Spiritual Prophecy, Ellen G. White writings, and other Adventist scholars and writers. It had that section. Then the lower one had all books from various writers of the world. So these guys told me that we are going to equip you, and they also direct him to that upper section of the library to spend all the time reading that so that I can understand Adventism properly, etc. But of course, I had spent all my years, almost 15 years in the Seventh Adventist Church, reading Adventism, and I had my library of my own. I had spent like 5 million buying books of Ellen G. White and other Adventist writers. So this section told me that. That was the first class of teachers. Then the second class of teachers that I found, or lecturers that I found at the university, told me that your ID reads BTH, Bachelors of Theology. So you are here to study theology, not religious studies, and not so much Adventism. So you are here to study theology. Then this class of teachers told you that theology is different from what your church teaches. We're not telling you to leave your church, but we're telling you that you are here to study theology. It's a professional course. And it has nothing, let me say this again, it has nothing to do with any religion. It has everything to do with God and his people, or God and his creation. So this is why you are here. And that's what your card reads. So standing between these two teachers, I started alternating. I had nothing so much to fetch from the teachers who encouraged me to focus on Adventism, because I had focused on Adventism for the last 15 years. And I was a committed one. I was a serious Seventh Adventist. So I decided to venture into the new waters, and that was theology. So I kept myself to the lower section of the library. I kept reading those books, and then I started on my other journey again of buying now books, different books from the ones that I have bought. I had bought earlier when I was a conservative Adventism. So I started buying books. If you ask my OBs and my OGs at the university, the one thing that they knew about Isaiah White was the guy with the books. Because I was moving around campus looking for books. I went to Owino Market. There was a station here in Wise after Kalerwe. I think after Kalerwe, it was called Focus Christian Center. I could visit that every now and then and collect books. Wherever I found a book, I bought. I downloaded PDFs. Because I knew that now I am here to study theology. So theology is a professional. It's a professional course. Your confusion, Mr. Sim, is that the reason is why you see that these guys do not agree. They don't agree. They don't agree because they don't agree on theology. No, it's not that they don't agree theologically. No, they do not agree denominationally. And in fact, this thing has gone too far that they have even started classifying theologies, Reformed theology. You've heard something like that. Catholic theology, Adventist theology. There are other various sections of theology. But all of these are customization of theology. But that is not theology. Theology as a professional course, it has got its principles in all its dimensions: hermeneutics, biblical criticism, then these other courses like Christian theology, iTiS, they are principles that we follow. Every theologian will follow those principles. There are specific ways to look at a text. If you're going to analyze a text, those principles are there. And this is how some of us actually are still on this platform. We are depending on those principles. That's what we are standing on. And these are the principles that I'm insisting on always. And it is for this matter that I do not agree with many so-called theologians. I do not agree with them. Why? Because, yes.
Sorry, I think maybe why I just, sorry to cut you short. One is when you mentioned the history of theology have started to be the first one as mathematics and all that. I just want to understand is now that theology that started, that original theology, assuming it's the actual theology. Okay, if it is the actual theology, so you've given, let's say, 3 denominations. Now in Bugema, that actual theology is being taught on level 1 of the library. Then also the Catholics have it. The Jesuits, the original Jesuits, then also some Anglicans have it, like IT White. Sorry, it's called who?
NT
White. Now, if you pick a first floor student of Bugema University Library and the Catholic, that original Jesuit, and Wright, NT Wright, do they agree on principle?
If they are all students of theology, yes, they will agree on those principles.
Because okay, me, I'm just getting from what you have explained, because all those 3, I'm assuming that they I'm assuming that they are
Yes.
still on the
Yeah,
original
sure,
principle,
sure. Yes, they
the
will.
original
Yes,
theology?
yes, they will agree. They will agree.
Aha. Now, the question is, what causes the difference? How come that they do not agree?
Yeah, they don't agree because of two reasons. The first reason that I have, the first reason I have already given. The first reason is that theology has been turned into a tool and a weapon to use to defend our positions. We are Catholics. So this thing of denominations, we are Catholics, we are Anglicans, we are Seventh-day Adventists, we are Jehovah's Witness. That has created various theologies. So they do not agree because each and every one is apologetic. They are defending their school of thought, which to me, most of those school of thoughts have nothing to do with theology. They have nothing to do with theology. Then in the scholarly world, theology also has been divided into sections. There is what we call systematic theology. There is what we call biblical theology. There is practical theology. There is Christian theology. There is philosophical theology. Then dogmatic theology. Now, all of these names that you hear, systematic, biblical, Christian, all of those these are just adjectives added to theology. So you are advised, if you are going to look at any, do not focus on the adjective that has been added. Biblical, systematic, don't focus on that. Focus on theology.
Because Isaiah, for example, sorry, now, because now, like, I'll just use you and NT Wright. Both of you, you're on the original theology. You don't believe in Trinity, he believes in Trinity. But then you share the same principles.
Thank you. Thank you. Yes, thank you very much. Now, what makes that disagreement? Thank you very much.
Because now, you see, now both of you are on the, I didn't want to use like my father-in-law, who is also a theologian, but a religious one. Me, I wanted to use the one that you've given us, the one on the original.
Thank you very much. I would like to, in response to your question, I would like to begin from an angle of attempting an example. You are an accountant. Do you think that the methods that you use as an accountant, Ugandan-based accountant, your methods that you use and the tools that you use and what influences your accounting abilities beyond even school, isn't it? Do you think they are the same circumstances and situations that influence an American accountant student from Harvard who is working for an organization like you're working for one? But you're both accountants.
No, let me answer that. You see, the principle will not change. The principle does not change. For example, in accounting, even if I go to Japan right now, when you sell on credit, you're going to debit your receivables and you're going to credit your stock, whatever you've sold. So that one is the principle. That debit credit is standard. So me, even you, I would expect you and write on the principle. Do we have two gods or do we have one God? I would expect you to be agreeing, because you see, you guys, you two people are on the original Trinity, on the original theology.
Now, as far as
disagreeing on that.
Exactly. Now, do you know I asked you that accounting thing? Because you, Peterson, the Ugandan accountant, and Brandon, the US accountant, agree in principle.
True.
Isn't it? But in practice, you might not actually agree in details. True?
No, you have to agree.
No, I mean the things, Peterson, the question that I asked you, Peterson, the things that you use to get to that to the conclusion in accounting, you, the Ugandan accountant, the things that you use are not the same thing that Brandon uses in the US.
No, because I don't know what things you're talking, because I've given you like a basic accounting thing. If you pay for rent, you're going to debit rent expense and credit cash.
Okay,
So that
okay,
is the standard.
okay. That
Hmm.
example is collapsed because I won't get you where I want to get you. That example has collapsed because
You just give me any transaction that you want in life.
no, because what I want,
is
no, what I wanted to demonstrate to you, Pedson,
life.
that the simplest thing that I can demonstrate to you in accounting, the software that you are using is not the same software that Brandon is using. Can that at least communicate?
Now what you brought, let me
Yes.
tell you, right?
Yeah.
When I was in New Vision, I used to use a software called Navision.
Yes.
Our budget, I think they must be knowing them. Right now, I'm using a software called the IFMIS, the one of government of Uganda.
Yes.
At my hardware, I'm using QuickBooks. All
Yes.
of them are built on the same accounting principles.
But the softwares are different. But the principle is the same.
They do the same thing.
Thank you. So that is what I was looking for. That's what I was looking for, Mr. Simon. So at least my example has resurrected. So me and NT Wright do not agree on the issue of the Trinity. Isn't it?
Yes.
But me and NT Wright agree on monotheism. That there is one God. So NT Wright, isn't it? Does not teach the Trinity as a doctrine. He doesn't. At least as a proper theologian, and that's what I like about him. He doesn't teach Trinity as a doctrine. He teaches Trinity as a historical framework of the Western world, because the Trinity is the Western world framework. So in theology, those things that you see that we don't agree on, in theology, there's what we call contextualization. The people from this end understand it from this angle. But in principle, there is only one God, and N.T. Wright knows that Jesus was God incarnate. But to communicate to his audience, because I have already, if you have heard me dismiss Trinity, I have told people that Trinity is a Sunday school example. It is not a reality that there are three gods in one, or one who exhibits in three. No, it's just a Sunday school example. And it is anthropomorphic in its nature. The anthropomorphism, we have said that word again and again and again. It is putting incomprehensible things in the language of people that they can understand. So me and N.T. Wright, if N.T. Wright teaches that there are three gods in one, we have disagreed. Then we go back to the principles, because the number one principle of theology is that there is only one God. So if he teaches it as a doctrine, like actually many churches teach it. In fact, what we call conventional Christianity, they tell you the first sign to tell whether you're a Christian or not is whether you believe in the Trinity or not. There we disagree. Because that Christianity that is being taught is Western Christianity. So that is how we agree, and that's how we disagree, Pedson. But it is not that because I think for him, like, hold on. Just like New Vision is using a different software to communicate the same thing. PAC is using a different software to communicate the same thing, and OPM is using a different software to communicate the same thing. So that's how we theologically look at Trinity. And I can assure you, Peterson, if you Google, no serious theologian is going to waste time on the Trinity. It is only those Western Christian apologists that are going to enforce Trinity and Trinitarian theology. But I think for this guy, for him, he says that three gods. Exactly. Then on that matter we disagree. But that does not reduce him to be not a theologian. At least he has many markers to demonstrate who a theologian is. That guy. There's even another one that who's also a theologian. We also do not agree on the Trinity is William Lane Craig. But you see, if you disagree on teachers, by the way, if you disagree on principles like that, yes. But remember, you studied from you people on the original. Because me as saying,
The trial balance that is produced, or the balance sheet that is produced by QuickBooks, is the same as the balance sheet that is going to be produced by what? By Navision or
philosophical. Person, philosophical studies are not mathematical studies where 1 + 1 = 2. And I can also assure you,
who brought the example of the software.
No, my software example is different from that. Please try to comprehend, because that's normally where me and you actually struggle. Your comprehension is another struggle like that of no. Peterson, I demonstrated to you that Navision, I don't remember the name. I'm trying to.
Navision.
Yeah, Navision, QuickBooks, and IFRIS. I'm not sure I'm pronouncing them right. Those are different ways built on the same principle. So carry that, before I even mention what I'm about to mention, carry that and apply to the trinity of entity, right? And the oneness of Isaiah.
Isaiah, I think you're the one. You see, what I'm saying is that Navision, QuickBooks, they all produce the same balance sheet, which has assets and liabilities. Now, you and I and White and Wright, you're using different methods, but you're coming up with a different product. You're saying that the balance sheet has the revenue, but then this guy is saying the balance sheet has liabilities and what? Your product is different, because whereas you're saying there's only one God, this guy is saying there are three.
Okay,
which is different from the software that you're talking about, because the software, they give the same output.
But why if they give the same output, why are they different?
No, it's just the choice of what you want to use.
No, there's the entire difference between QuickBooks and IFRIS.
There's no actually there's no difference.
There's no difference. There's no difference in what it yields.
Edison.
Yes.
Edison, are you saying that they are just changing the name?
No, they're not changing the name. It's like you driving a Wish and someone driving a Probox.
But is the Wish the same as the Probox?
How they're both cars, and if we're talking about what they're supposed to do, that's what they do. The difference between Wright and Isaiah is that one is using a car.
So let us stick to the software.
Okay, let's stick to the software
and the cars.
Now,
why do we have QuickBooks and IFRIS?
Now, what a software does, what an accounting software does, is supposed to produce financial reports. Now, financial reports, we have an income statement, we have a balance sheet, we have a statement of cash flows, we have a statement of changes in equity. But let me stick to the two: an income statement and a balance sheet. An income statement shows revenue and expenditure.
Benson, you are explaining what the software does. We are asking you a very simple question.
Yes.
If QuickBooks is the same as IFRIS and the same as Navision, why do we have those three? Is it a change of names?
It's like how you can just say that I'm going to buy a yellow shirt and someone is going to buy a checked shirt. Maybe I can explain it like that.
So in the nature of the software, there's nothing special about IFRIS compared to Navision, and there's nothing special about QuickBooks compared to Navision.
It's the same thing. It's the same thing.
So the question to you, since you are the person who uses the three, are these just different, the change of names of the same thing?
They're different softwares.
Someone please come in and help us.
But what they do is the same thing. Let me tell you, right now we're on a call with 6 people. I don't know whoever is using Android, whoever is using Apple, whoever is using whatever phone. The reason why we bought a phone is for some things like this, maybe Zoom.
But Android and iOS do not do the same thing.
Isaiah, what we're saying is this: an accounting system is supposed to produce a report. if Miss has produced a
No,
balance
that
sheet,
to
if
get
Miss has
to that
produced,
point, Pedson, to get to
ah,
that,
but
you get ahead of yourself, Pedson. That's your major problem in these matters. To get to that point, we need to find out why do we have Navision, IFRIS, and QuickBooks. You either tell us that these are just different names of the same thing.
okay, these are different brands. Maybe if because I brought a phone, I brought a car,
but
I
a
brought a
brand,
phone, I brought a car, and you
then
people
a brand is
have
different. A brand is different then. If they are different brands, they are
okay.
different.
So what you're saying, when you talk about difference, it means that Navision would produce a different report from QuickBooks.
It would produce differently the same report.
Differently, Isaiah, go and now let me tell you, companies report in April, around April, because their financials end around the December, and then they report audit reports in the new vision. I want you to go and get the papers of April. Look at the bank statements for Equity, look at the bank statements for Stanbic, look at the bank statements for Umeme, and see if they're different from each other. Then from there, you go and check which accounting systems are they using. So if you find that,
but I've told you that NT Wright and Isaiah White believe there is one God.
NT White
presents. Hold on.
There are three.
I know he doesn't say there are three.
I'm on the internet. You see, as we talk, I'm
you
Googling.
Google.
So I send.
Of course, I know. You're not giving me information. I know. I'm the one who told you about NT Wright. Now, you listen. NT Wright believes there is one God who demonstrates himself in three persons. Isaiah White believes there is one God.
Who does what?
There is one God who became flesh, dwelt among us, and is the same Spirit. So the Trinity.
So your God doesn't demonstrate in three parts.
No, he does. He doesn't. But
the one of NT White demonstrates. The one of NT White demonstrates in three parts.
Exactly. So the demonstration
and the same.
The demonstration and the exhibition, Mr. Asimu, the demonstration and the exhibition is not in principle, that is in practice. But in principle, we agree that there is one God. I'm here speaking for NT Wright. I wish he was here. But in principle, we believe that there is only one God. You ask all the Trinitarians, they will tell you that they are monotheist. And that is my challenge to them. And I'm always telling them, could you just give me a time and I wind up?
Can I bring in Peter?
Those who are listening to us would like
to and I bring in other people as well.
Yes, I was telling you, thank you, moderator. I was telling Mr. Asimu that me and NT Wright, at least on that example that he demonstrated, we do not agree in principle. The principle is there is one God. How we practice and understand that God in practice and in existence, that is not principle. That is not principle, and that's why we're asking him: Does Navision, IFRIS, and QuickBooks, are they just change of names of the same thing? He said different brands. He said the Wish and the ProBox, but a Wish and a ProBox are different things. Even actually in practice. So basically, in principle, we agree there is one God. Then he goes anthropomorphic. If he believes in it, because he's an Anglican. The customization, he belongs to an Anglican church. Isaiah does not belong to any religion. So he is free.
Isaiah, you said NT White studied.
Okay, let me first bring in Peter.
Thank you, Mr. Moderator.
Let me bring in Peter. Those who have just joined us who are probably confused what is happening. We're just trying to understand why. Of course, according to Peterson's question, if you go into accountancy, debit and credit is the same, whether you go to Japan, the US, Russia, or wherever. And engineering principles are the same if you go to America or South Africa or wherever. But in theology, Peterson seems to say these guys all have their own opinions and they all claim to be right. So I think in a way he's dismissing theologians from claiming anything because they cannot agree on anything. Therefore, what they are even telling us, so who is right and who is wrong? Peter, can you come in now?
Hello.
Yes.
Okay, thank you, moderator. If I've been following well, we have two questions at the definitive level that we need to clear, and probably the discussants will help us. Number one, when we talk of principle, what do we mean? Number two, do we have fixed?
I have lost him. Am I
Hello?
alone?
Hello?
Peter? Yes. You're asking when you say principle, what do we mean? And then we lost you.
Somebody disturbing me, calling me. Am I back?
Yes, you are.
Yes, and yes, I was saying that if I've been following well, we have the following definitions to make, at least working or operational definitions that discussants ought to make clear. Number one, what is a principle? Number one, what is a principle? When we say in principle or principally or by principle, this is what it is. What do we mean? Number two, do we have a universal list published of what professional courses are? That on the list of professional courses, number one, medicine. Number two, archaeology. Number three, history. Do we? If we do, can we have it and see whether theology or accountancy is among the professionals? That is number one. Number two, if it is not, then we need to ask in the spirit of this fellowship, what qualifies a course, what qualifies a discipline or a program, a professional one? And when we say professional X or professional course, what are we saying? Probably at those two levels, then we shall need to understand this debate more clearly. Thank you.
Moderator.
So those questions are yes, Isaiah.
Is Mr. Selvide should stop wasting our time. Those questions belong to him. Let him answer those questions. He's the one at the university.
Peter, right back at you. You guys have professional courses at the university. What do you mean when you say professional courses?
Hey.
Hello.
Yes.
Yeah, all right. Thank you very much. I don't know. I don't know whether it is in that spirit, but I was inquiring in the spirit of the debate that especially the one who asked, when Mr. Asimwe was disputing or interrogating how professional theology is, what did he mean?
He cannot respond to that question.
You can.
You can.
I can.
Unfortunately. Okay, continue.
Now, one, me, I'm going to start from what Peter said. When a professional course is actually, let me first answer that. I've just gotten the quick things here. What Peter is asking, when you check the on Google, of course, theology is not there. Neither are the religious things there because they are not professions. That's one. Now, just a minute. Someone is calling. Just 1 minute. Let me come back.
Professor Google,
your profession is not on Google, so it is not a professional course.
Tulinda Professor Google. Kyovola banze mbadde nkugambye go Peter atuyambe. Kubanga obuzibu tulina mulembe guno Google. Google era oli akyakubye mu Google ye.
Kubanga Okay. Hello?
Yes.
Kubanga, definition ya mukulu asimwe, the challenge we have with his definition, where we have a list of professional courses, is to me,
Neta najiku.
anti akebedde mulisiti. Akebedde mulisiti. Nga theology teriimu.
In a definition of a dagirate, abadaga yoteriimu ng'agenda kuwa definition of what a professional course is. Kakati gwe definition yasimu ogijiwa gy'ogenda otugamba.
Nedda si definition akebedde mulisiti.
Kanati kiwandikiddeko naye otugende nti definition yasimu nze kye neesibyeko.
Kubanga definition ye eri mulisiti. We define a profession by the list provided online. Hey. Only that.
I think it's another problem about professionalism. Okay, Peter, first finish.
Yes, only that. As a member, as a member of academia, we are always sitting and making research to create new professions. And here profession means that there is a certain set of principles and skills that have been discovered to address a certain defined problem. It is only that qualifies a line of work, or rather a line of study as a profession, that we have identified a problem in a society or a question, there is a certain question that has risen in a society. We have made research, discovered various values, attitudes, skills, and knowledge that is worthy teaching and applying. Yes, and that qualifies that as a profession. For example, if today we discover that homosexuality in this society, for example, in the Ugandan society, has become a problem, then we embark on making a study, a research. We go into psychology, we go into the biology, and we discover certain information, certain knowledge, skills, values, and attitudes that we think the generation or the people or the children should understand in order to address that problem. Whenever information or knowledge has been applied to address a certain defined problem, that qualifies to be a profession. So, mwena mumanyi, it is no news to a profession in a guako. In other words, nga ekizibu kyali egonjola kiri done. You need to be phasing out. Like that. Always standing at the test of time, depending on the need defined or the problem defined. For example, medicine has stood the test of time because sickness is here and it has never stopped. Education has stood the test of time because learning is a continuous life process, and so on. Now, I want to tell you, Mama wange yasoma typewriter. Era yali professional nnyo until 1997. Bwe twagenda mu computer, nga computer ekola byonna, tekyasoboka, tokyakuba kintu ebbaluwa ya jiina ya East African, ayina ebbaluwa bagiyita East African something something, naye kakati mami takyalina kyatugamba mu nsonga za typewriter. That was addressed. It was a profession in a certain period of time, and it's no longer one. Why? The need or the problem it addressed is no more. So I shudder at the thought nti tusobola okulistinga professions okusinziira ku corpus oba inventory. Gabanange eno profession, banange eno profession. Okujja tusobola okugamba ancient oba traditional professions and contemporary professions. Kyetuyinza okugamba naye sigamba nti kakati zino zivuddewo, zino ze zino, kubanga teri mu Google, kubanga teri mu dictionary.
Kati mwami Serubidde okuddamu ekibuuzo kye ekyasoose ssebo.
Ssebo.
Tutegeeza ki ku profession twabadde tugamba?
Ssebo.
Nti nze wasaagala kugera Pedson kuba okusinziira ku Pedson kyempulira ne gy'alaga. Profession eri synonymous with vocation. Obwo bwe bweraliikirivu bwange. Naye profession ssebo kye tutegeeza tugamba nti it is specialized knowledge and practical skills applicable in specific fields of life and living. Ekyo kye tuyita profession. Era nze mmanyi nti theology is a profession. Kubanga course eyo providing specialized knowledge. Ne practical skills. Naye vocation eyinza obutabeera vocation kubanga abaagala okugifuula vocation be bali obudde be natandise nabo ndowooza wazereti ng'ajogera customization of theology. Ekyo ssebo kye tutegeeza. Then okuddamu ekibuuzo kye ekirala bwe tugamba principle tutegeeza ki? Tutegeeza Bob.
Yes.
I'm sorry sinze moderator naye ndowoozezza kyoyagala.
Naye sooka omalayo point yo kuba nze mbadde njakola ka submission kange naye lwakuba simanyi timing nti bayinza okumpita.
So we tugamba principles, Mr. Serubidde, twabadde tutegeeza the foundations of this specialized knowledge and practical skills ezitagibwawo ng'onookikola. Those foundations kye twali tutegeeza with principle. So nabadde ngamba mwami Asiimwe nti theology erina principles kwe tusinziira okusimba ebintu ebimu nga doctrine oba nga dogma. Toyinza kusimba kintu theologically nga doctrine oba nga dogma nga kiviolatinga principles zino. Bwe kiba nga anti-right akkiriza mu Trinity nga nature ya Katonda nga nature ya Katonda so singa ng'enkola ya Katonda, then aba violating the principles. Kyesikkiriziganya nakyo kubanga ebitabo bye mbisomye muwulidde ng'ayogera sirowooza nti na akkiriza mu Trinity nga nature ya Katonda. Naye oba oli awo okukuuma omulimu n'obwa bishop mu Anglican Church maybe ayinza okubiwandiika ebyekisiru ebyo, naye ndabye ebitabo bye bingi sinalabamu bya kisiru. Sinnabirabamu. Kinsuba kindi convinced nti takkiririza mu Trinity nga nature ya Katonda. Nakati ekyo kinaadde ngamba mwami Asiimwe nti me and anti-right, as far as the principle of monotheism is concerned, we agree. Kyetwawukanako y'engeri gye tubuulira monotheism eyo ku different circles. Nze nasalawo abantu bensomesa era bembuulira bagambe nti ebyo bya Trinity bya Sunday school musobola okubigamba abaana bammwe naye mu abantu abakulu mu biveemu. Yesu Kristo yali Katonda yennyini, Omwoyo Omutukuvu ye Katonda y'omu yennyini, bwe tuyita Katonda kitaffe era ye Katonda y'omu. Kati ebyo ebisatu bye njogedde, Father anthropomorphism lulimi lw'abantu, Jesus Christ lulimi lw'abantu, Spirit lulimi lw'abantu, lulimi lw'abantu. So mwami Serubidde kye twali tutegeeza ku principle. Naye anze bakulu.
Okay, Bob.
Kati ekitegeeza
Moderator, should I come in over?
Yes, please.
Okay. So I'll agree with Pastor White. naye nze ngenda kubawa just something to think through. Another example of, let's say, nti twogera ku human rights, okay? Bw'ono beera wano mu America, bajja kugamba their definition of a human right. According to their setup. Era bagambe omuntu bw'abeera gay, it's their human right. Omuntu bw'abeera kino, it's their human right. Let them be. Bw'ojja okujja Uganda, bajja kugamba nti ate bw'ogamba nti omuntu ali gay naye alina right ye, ate awo aba tususseeko kubanga ekyo tetukibala ng'ekiri no mu society yaffe. So different setups. So when I look at the different setups of religious theologians and what they believe, the good thing that in regards to human rights, there's something called human right. So the way they are defining it can be different, and then it's up to it's up to you who is following or who is looking at things to see which side you want to go with. But the fact is that all these things, these opinions, eventually change. What Uganda may define today as something which is not a human right, they may wake up 10 years or 20 years from now, and now they are considering it. They have had a change of thought on the same. Or what the US is probably thinking of as human right now, some other group of people can come up in future and they say, no, we are scrapping this off. Because actually in some states here, some particular states here, when you talk of homosexual, even if this is the US, they will really be, you will find a hard time, even in the US here. So I wanted us to have that to do that. Now, when it comes to theology, yes, buli muntu ajja kubeera n'endowooza ku certain things. Theologians will come and give you their versions, different versions. Naye ebyo ebintu tebiina tuyigula matama, because we keep the main thing. Kati waliwo ebintu bantu bye babeerawo ne bakubaganyako obwongo. The Trinity. Simanyi what happens when you die. Olina buildinga, kind of, if you don't believe that when you die, this is this and this, then you are not a believer. So ebintu ebita, principle wange yagamba, ebintu ebitalina makulu. So let's keep the main thing, and then we can live happily. You best do what you feel comfortable with. But as long as you believe in the one God, and in your own definition of him, and no one has to choose left and right in whatever circumstance, then you're good to go.
Ekibuuzo.
Yes, Peter.
Are principles customizable such that the principle, for example, God is one, keep on varying depending on different cultures? In light of Mr. Muyanja's submission, what are the principles of human rights? And can they be principle in US but not principle in Uganda?
Moderator nziremu.
Yes, sir.
Gundi Bob alese ekyokulabirako ekiyitirivu era kyanukula ekibuuzo kya Peter. Abamerika bwe bagamba mbu nno, ate ndowooza si Bamerika bonna, amasaza g'omu mu Amerika bwe gagamba mbu nno okulya ebisiyaga is a human right, amasaza amalala ne gagamba no, it is immoral and obscene, it is not a human right. Tetudibetinga oba eri human right oba si human right. Nedda tudibetinga kikolwa. In principle, ebitundu by'ekyama by'omusajja bigenda mu kabina k'omuntu. era waliwo provisions z'ebitundu by'ekyama by'omusajja gye ziri mu kabina nti ye aha kakati it is a human right omuntu okukolagana n'obubina n'ebitundu by'ekyama. Naye bwe kiba ng'akabina tekalina provision ya kasolo omusajja, then principle erirate tizenakyo principle kati gyetuteekwa kakati okutandika okudisikasinga. Kati tetusobola kucustomizinga principle eyo okutuusa nga tuprovidinze provisions ez'ekitundu ky'ekyama ky'omusajja mu kabina k'omusajja. Mwami Serubidde ekibuuzo kye kya customization nkiddamu abuuseeko. Kakati principle bwe zityo bwe zikola. Kati bannayuganda bo bagamba nti nedda omuntu ayagala okuyita mu kabina si candidate wa human right, nedda candidate wa ddwaliro yeetaaga buyambi. Abamerika bo bagamba, kubanga bo bali mu waadi y'abalwadde, bo bagambye it is a human right. Bwebabuuza ate provisions za kino ekintu kino teziriyo naye tujja kujjanjaba omuntu muleke akole ky'ayagala. Kakati ky'oyagala ne bwe biteekwa okuba byawukana. Bw'ofuula human right n'ogifuula omuntu ky'ayagala, then ekitegeeza tewali bigenda kukolebwa. Bwentyo bwe ndowooza moderator.
Okay. Peter Abuseka, one of the accusations Pedson had against Theology, at least.
Moderator okutuka oba nze nzekka. Am I alone who cannot hear him?
Akutuka nange simuwulira.
East African Law Society in the certification.
Yet tetukuwulira jet.
Hello.
Twakomye kuwulya ngoga nti one of the accusations that Ped had against Theology. Again, tetukuwulira bw'oba oyogera if you are talking. We can't hear you, Ped, if you can hear us at least.
Hey, hello?
No, I mean Jet. We can't hear
Hey,
Jet.
because me, I'd also jumped off. I don't know what.
We lost you a long time ago. But if...
I just came in when Bob was talking about human rights.
Yeah, in case you have anything to say, or any other person, Becky Nato, would you have something to say as we wait for the moderator?
I don't have anything to say, Kuwanga. I found the question in the middle. I don't even know what it's about. I was just listening to follow.
No, the question was simply put, Peterson yabadde abuuza lwaki ba theologian bwe baba nga koosi yaabwe eri professional course lwaki tebakkaanya ng'ate bo ba accountant bakkaanya. Peterson, have I represented you well? Briefly, in summary? Yeah, so Peterson kyabadde abuuza, so kyekibuuzo kye tumazeeko awo tukyogereddemu ebintu bingi, tunyonyodde theology kyeki, akola atya, ebirala wabisanze wakati awo. Then maybe watusanze tukaayana ennyo ne Peterson yatuwadde software za mirundi 3 nga zikola ekintu kyekimu n'agaana olwekyo zezimu. Ne tumubuuza zikyusa bukyusa amannya zezimu n'agaana different brands, coffee brand, different brands zibeera same brand. Awo we twabadde then Bob Muyanja n'ajjamu awo n'awa presentation eyo gy'owulidde ndowooza yagiwadde wooli. Ng'agezaako okulaga nti human rights
Agisebagala kyemaali wafuwa.
bwe ziba nga ziri universal naye the peak of his submission ebadde egamba nti waliwo ebintu ebikulu n'ebitali bikulu, keeping the main thing, and that main thing is the principle. So that is how we have been so far. To me, since Jethro afunyemu obuzibu ne network naye abadde alina ensonga gy'ayagala okutuwa, but for now Kato, you are welcome. Bw'oba nga ali omuntu alina ekibuuzo asobola okukibuuza, yet wanaaba akomyewo asobola okuddamu n'atudulaginga ku ekyo ekibuuzo ekirala. So in case you have a question or something to say, please come in.
Thank you, Mr. White. Good evening, everyone. I don't have a question. I'm just good. I'm following.
Okay. Thank you.
Isaiah.
Yeah, man.
Now, sorry, I really missed like 20 minutes, I guess.
You
My concern, and you see by the way I brought in this thing here, it is the confusion this earth is in because of that one major problem. Whereas, and actually, I'm going to start from here. When you want to compare accounting and theology, you actually shooting yourself in the foot, because you see, accounting is something very easy that you can even explain. Like I was trying to just maybe just try to explain to you using the accounting systems and all that, which is just a product which I use for producing a report. Whatever accounting system that you use, all you need are reports. Now, the things of accounting, engineering, law, these things you can explain. Now, theology, which you told us that it is a study of God. When you say that it is a profession which you say that it is knowledge and all that, then now that poses a very big problem, because the people that you see, everyone in Sunday is preaching in that one book, and everyone ideally is a learned person in that book. And by the way, to even make matters worse, you find, let me give an example. You find that there are some people that we had at iTiS. Right now, they're in Fanero. So now, remember now in Fanero, they have gone for some guy also who is a theologian. At iTiS, that they're in a what? They're also in a theology school.
They left a theologian.
He left a theologian, now he has found another theologian. The guy at Fanero claims to be understanding this thing that he's preaching about. The guy at iTiS, the same thing. My reverend, the same thing. And that is the confusion that we're in. Everyone wants to put authority, claiming that whatever he's talking about, he has authority over it and he's understanding it. At office, my friend, the other guy, Emma, who is
Emma,
an
is he still there?
He's there, and every lunch we're always debating. But one thing that he told me, he agrees is like there's something that is behind the creation of whatever big bang, whatever. But for him, he says, for you rush to call it God. May I say that it is the unknown. Now, you people, when you claim that you can have an understanding, knowledge about that unknown God, then you're actually wrong. Because the other guy of Fanero will make the same claim. The other guy, but what understanding really do we have on this? Stephen Nsubuga told me, I met Nsubuga, and he told me, if God is serious about this thing here, he has to come out and make himself clear. But the guy is quiet. What we have to do is how we interpret, and that is the thing. Because really, if someone moves from the theology in iTiS, in quotes, if it is the right one, and goes to Fanero, what does that mean?
Okay. Can I respond now? First and foremost, Mr. Asim, I would like you to know that the question and the challenge that you are raising is valid. It is very valid. It is very valid, and the same can be said on political views, because politics has views and modes of leadership. Is it democracy or dictatorship? You see, where is the country better? Because many Ugandans today, if you ask them between Amin and Museveni, who is better, they will tell you that Amin was far better, and it was a dictatorship. Some of them, you've heard them trumpeting Rwanda, but Rwanda is a dictatorship. They are trumpeting Rwanda over Uganda. So same thing happens in economics. Is it capitalism, communism, and all those, socialism? Is which one is better for people? Okay, but the principle of economics stays. Even in the earlier example, the principle of politics stays, and in fact the principle is leadership. The leadership stays, but how you exercise that leadership is what people question. And I can tell you, people move from one place to another, not because of the principle, because rarely do people even understand the principle. I can assure you that. So theology is not immune from what other professions are suffering. You just want to bully theology and pinpoint it and etc. And I can understand the school of thought where you're coming from. You're coming from the school of thought of evidence, where evidence is laboratory made and laboratory proven. There is nothing like evidence beyond the lab. That is naturalism, the world view of naturalism. And that I really appreciate. You are not alone. We are many. We are so many. So to answer your question and say a few other words on that, is if someone left iTiS and went to Phaneroo, they have not left iTiS, and I'm not saying this in defense of our fellowship. They have not left iTiS on the principle of theology. They have not left iTiS for that reason. They have left iTiS because iTiS is not serving some of their crucial needs. For instance, iTiS does not have a praise and worship service where they play instruments and dance. So someone lives on that. We would appreciate if someone left iTiS and then they told us that they have left on principle. You guys have left because what you teach is not what the Bible teaches. They would pay attention. But if someone left because of other physical preferences and practical preferences that he has not experienced at the fellowship, we are good. And we actually even encourage people, if they are, because if that's your level, if there are things that you miss at a certain fellowship, not only like this, every fellowship you go to, you leave. If you want to be told what the Bible says, it is go to iTiS. If you want to be emotional and be charismatic, dance, praise, jump, go to Phaneroo. Maybe they're doing it better. They're doing it better. Go to Phaneroo. If you want to be this religious and what, try SDA or Catholicism. They will help you. It is about other people even leave fellowship because of friends. And sociology, all my friends are not here, they are here. Then you go where it is comfortable. But let us always remember to keep the main thing, wherever you are, whether you are, they have nice dance. After that dance, do they teach you the word? If your answer is yes, stay. If your answer is no, do not leave. You visit where they teach the word and get the word also, because you need it. Because you really need it. You need those principles and those foundations to be built into your framework of faith. So that is the first part of your concern. Then the other part is it is important to point out, because I know most of you take offense from all the explanations that we make here. Because whenever a question is asked and we make explanations, most of you look at us like we know it all. But that's not what theology teaches. Theology does not claim to know it all. No, theology is two hands. It has the knowledge of the hand. Excuse me. It has the hand of knowledge, okay? And it has the hand of faith. Edson, you've heard me a million times talking about faith. Why? Because theology is not entirely a discipline of the laboratory where we are going to put everything into the lab, okay, and come out with tangible evidence so that we can believe. No, I have always here shared the epistemology of theology. And epistemology is the study of how we know what we know. The epistemology of theology states, and this actually I would like to even reference myself. This states as follows. We know to believe, and we believe to know. In other words, or in simplistic language, what we mean theologically is that there are things in theology where we have to know, to test, to check, to prove, so that we can believe. And those things we have shared here, looking at the Bible, interrogating it, looking at other professions. Yesterday at the fellowship, someone asked me a question about was man created to only eat seeds and vegetables? Then I told this person who asked the question, that is not a question to a pastor and to a theologian. No, that is a question to a scientist. Do not ask your pastor. You go and ask your doctor. A scientist will tell you what you were created to do. Now, that is how we do Bible study, theologically. But others who have customized this discipline, they will tell you, yes, but you see, sin happened, the floods came, and you see, eating meat was not on the original plan of God. If you listen to that audio, whoever wants that audio should tell us, please. We can share that audio to you, and then you listen. How we responded to that question. Because in theology, there are things that we know so that we can believe. No pastor is going to tell us Christians that you were originally created to only eat vegetable, and you were not created to eat meat. Then you don't believe in creation, you believe in evolution. So these are the things. Then the other hand is that we believe to know. Why? Because there are things that we cannot explain, but we experience. And one of those things is God. That's why your friend Emma told you that there is an unknown mover. That unknown mover, we have believed to be a being and we have called it God. You can call it any other thing because God is English. In my native language, we call it Iman. In my second native language, we call it Rohanga, the one that we share, me and you. Jethro and Ebi, they call it Katonda. And Nanto. You know, we have called it that. That does not entail to say that we can explain it to you and we can show it to you and we can take it to the lab, but we believe. Why do we believe? Because we have experienced it. Even an atheist like Emma believes that there is an unknown mover. In theology, we call it the prime mover. And that is the subject of this book. Yes.
Isaiah.
Yes.
Was it Paul? Yasanga bali worshiping and now even the unknown God. So
thank you. Acts chapter 17. Acts chapter 17. I told him, I have come here to make some remarks and to tell you about what you worship when you don't know. So this is what we are telling people like Emma. Kato has just left. Kato is also in that school. I don't know whether Kato is an atheist, Jethro. Please let me not misrepresent him.
He's leaning more towards that side.
Yeah, leaning more towards that side. So because most of those people who are obsessed with tangible evidence, naturalism, tend to dismiss the other philosophical hand of evidence, which is faith. So there are things that we cannot explain. And I can tell you, Peterson, you've been listening to me again and again and again. But if you ever drop the bias and try to understand what I'm always saying, I have always told you, in theology, the first lesson that you are taught is you will not understand this God. you are left with only one option: to believe this God. And we believe and assume that with that faith applied to this God, we get to understand a few things. We get to see the hand of God. People will tell you the things, the miracles that have happened in their lives. They will tell you, they will see that unknown mover of things on their behalf. This is why I keep encouraging people. Do not say, I don't have to go to fellowship. Fellowship does not take me to heaven. I don't have to pray. Praying does not. No. You are being and you're exercising atheism in theism. It is actually called deism.
Isaiah,
The professional term is actually called deism.
Isaiah.
Who is going
Yes,
to come now? Just help me.
No, I wanted to just give you an example. Yesterday, I went with my Japanese friend to church.
Yes.
I took her to a fellowship, Vegeta Passion City here. Naye nagambe ngamona mutute on a wrong day. Kubanga she's not a believer, but just wanted to visit. So we went to church, and the pastor was preaching about Christmas. Okay? And the worship songs were all, put around the virgin
Christmas.
birth, how this virgin girl got pregnant without having sex. Nomulaba. So anyway,
I don't know pastor like a virgin birth yajibulide careless.
Anyway, I just wanted to tell you issues of faith, that as you said, these are issues of faith. You at one time you said this is the line I'm taking. If you have tested it and you've seen how good he is, then you say
Paid your turn.
Yes. Actually, you see now that your concluding statement where you say that you have to attend church, you have to pray. Now that's exactly what I was trying to say. Who says that you're supposed to do that?
Okay. No authority says that you're supposed to do that. But
so why do you say that I'm supposed to do it?
Because that's what I'm about to say.
Okay.
No authority. By the way, let me tell you, ever since this God created a volitional being, a freedom, a free will being, that God himself ceased even to be an authority over a free will being. And this, and in fact, that's why we are here, isn't it? So no authority tells you that you must go to church, you must pray. No authority. Isn't it?
Yes.
But while there no authority that will tell you to, because no one can tell you to do something, person, if you don't wish, even if it is God himself. The God that I know will not make you do something that you don't want. No one. However, where there is no authority to do that, there is an experience, okay, that if you don't go to church, if you don't pray, isn't it? You will still go somewhere and you will still pray in a different way. Because that is who you are. So if you don't worship, we keep telling people, if you don't worship God, that does not mean that you are immune of worship. No, you will worship something. In a place of experience teaches that. I do not care whether you are a professional atheist and a typical scientist, you will worship something. In fact, it was the outspoken atheist. I've forgotten that Englishman, a very brilliant man. He always debates religious people. Forget about Christopher Hitchens, but there's another guy, Oxford product, very brilliant brains. It was him who said that the problem with humanity is that even when they're like myself, that they have overcome religion like I have, they will still turn atheism into a religion. It has become one already. So I have forgotten the name of that guy. Jethro, are you back?
Yes, I'm back.
Do you know this atheist who debates many religious people, who is not Christopher Hitchens, but there's another Oxford version.
The biologist.
Eh?
The biologist. The guy who
Yes.
wrote,
The one who wrote the God Delusion.
What's his
I have the
name?
book is far
Richard
away.
Dawkins. Richard Dawkins.
Thank you, Richard Dawkins. Guys, you go and look for the debates of Richard Dawkins and look at the brains. But Richard Dawkins said that the problem with humanity that I have not come to understand is that even when they're like myself, that they have overcome religion, they will still turn atheism into religion, and atheism has become into another religion, and it is. So no one is telling you, person, to go to church, and no one will tell you to do that. No one is telling you to pray, and no one can make you do that. No one, not even God. But I am here to tell you, experience will not exonerate you. You will still go to a certain church. You will turn something into a church. You will turn something into prayer. You will still a prayer being. So this is why we encourage those of us who still believe in this God, that please, as the Bible says, do not stop fellowship, continue fellowshipping. Please, do not stop prayer, continue praying. Pray, be a devotional Christian. That's what we're asking. I'm speaking to Christians person. Hold on. So because a human being is a psychology of mentality, and is a psychology of emotions. You need that. If you can't speak to your pastor, you need that being known as God to speak to, because to him alone you can say some things and certain things, because there are things that you cannot say to your pastor. It is a therapy. You need it. Everyone needs that therapy. Even the most atheist of all will need to go to a counselor. They will need to go to that. So please, always fellowship, always be devotional, worship, always attend fellowship, always pray, always read your Bible as a Christian. It doesn't make you any less a theologian. I know too much theology, I can assure you, I know too much theology. Let me be arrogant. In Uganda, to me, Isaiah White Mutabazi, I know too much theology. If you know any theologian, you dare me with them. But I pray, I worship. Why? Because I've seen people my teachers who knew more theology than I, for some reason, did the same. So ladies and gentlemen, musalama lala mukakanye pressure. So, Peterson, I'm done speaking to Christians. Now you can come.
Actually, you see, that's what I was that's my initial point that I'd actually said, because you see, when you say you pray, you fellowship, you do what, that sounds as if it's more or less like religious.
Yeah.
Because
Yes.
Because you see, if like you've said, the human being is can understand God as a human being, but then now you ended up by saying you pray, you need to pray, you need to fellowship. That's what I was asking. Now that's the problem that I first, by saying you guys speak as if you have authority over these spiritual things.
But a person, you accuse other religious leader. Don't you accuse me for that, really? Anyone who is here you're one of the people who have stayed with Isaiah White for a very long time. Would you really say that Isaiah is a religious leader?
Isaiah, when you're concluding, you said as a Christian,
Yes.
As a Christian, you pray.
Because person, you missed the context which I told you, that theology is faith and knowledge. Then you exercise your faith through prayers, through attending fellowship. That's how you exercise your faith, person. As a Christian, you do that, but no one is forcing you to do that. And I'm not telling people that if you don't do that, you won't go to heaven. You won't get eternal life. I'm not telling anyone that. I haven't taught that, at least.
No, and maybe that's what I was trying to understand. Who says that for you to increase or to understand, you have to go through those channels?
The experience says so. It is something that it's something I've shared in the previous audio, but you, for Edison, you never listen. You just hear. You need some training in listening. Someone please come and defend me. Did I mention that?
In experience, eh?
Yes.
Experience, eh?
Yeah, your experience will make you do that.
Because anyway, because as
You
you
need
ca-
it.
as you well know, eh?
Mm.
For example, the most prayerful people are Pentecostal people who sleep in church. They are attending overnight. P5, they are praying P5, 77 dogs. Eh?
But so do you know what you're doing?
Eh.
You are bastardizing my message.
No, what you said. I'm just saying what you said.
No,
We have guys.
those ones are abusing. Those are abusers, Benson. Those abuse. They abuse prayer.
What did you say? To understand, to know faith, you have to pray and fellowship. These guys do it.
And I didn't say that you should abuse the discipline, really, Peterson. You know what those guys are doing, the Pentecostals, really, Peterson.
So what is the standard?
They're just abusing the discipline. And it is for that not action. And now, that is a question that you should ask in humility, so that you can be told how to pray. How to pray at least, okay? And how not actually to abuse prayer. Because those Pentecostals have turned prayer into a key that unlocks a padlock known as God. A God who is unwilling to give his children. So they force him through prayer and fasting. Those ones have abused the discipline. But just because people have abused the discipline does not mean that sober people should not be there. Where you work from, Peterson, I'm sure people are stealing funds. But you don't have as much money as you would have had because you cannot steal. You can't afford to abuse your profession. But there are many accountants. One of them actually died in prison. Another one was released. Those guys studied the principles of accounting. So we cannot say that all accounting are wrong, all accountants are wrong. No, but those are abused, the discipline. So Peterson, stop equating me, let me speak for myself, and the Bob and the Nantong and the Jethros, those the Christians that I know here. Stop misrepresenting them using the Pentecostals.
But Isaiah, look at the subjectivity of your presentation. You've said Christians should pray. I've given an example of Christians who pray. You're saying they are over praying.
Now you ask for the reference. Now you ask. Now you would have asked like this: if Christians should pray, how then should they pray? Should they pray like what we see in Pentecostalism? Should they pray like what we see in Catholicism? Should they pray like what we see in Islam? So that is something that we need to discuss. If yes, that question, honestly, that would be. But if the question is about dismissing the Christian discipline of fellowship attending and prayer, really, we cannot dismiss what is valuable because other people have abused the value. We can't. So let us first of all establish the fact that it is a value for a Christian to pray. It is a value for a Christian to attend fellowship. It is.
But okay, now from the principles of theology, yes. For how many times should someone pray?
Someone should pray as many times as he wants to pray. So they should pray as much as they want. They should pray as little as they want. Number one. Number two, they should know what and whom they should pray, what they are praying for, and who they are praying to before they pray. Okay?
So of those two principles, which principle are these Pentecostal people violating?
So can I say something? I think musombo ochatuwa nnyo amata,
Mm.
milk. By this time, we should be eating bones. For me, I'll go back to the basics of ask what is prayer, you know? Because for me, my even definition of prayer has evolved over time, okay? From, I used to think when you're going to pray, you close your eyes and you know, and you pray. To me, seeing people opening their eyes, driving their cars, and they are praying, you know? And I'm like, oh, is that person praying? So we were at church and the guy said, okay, now let us pray. I used to be in a church where we use time of prayer, they would tell us, kneel down, we won't be to serve. Then one time I was in a church where the pastor opened his eyes and on his mic, he said a prayer looking at us around like this. I'm like, hey, is this guy praying? So we may need to even understand what is prayer, that it is as basic as communicating to God in an honest manner, okay? And basically having that bond with him and communicating with him. It doesn't matter whether you've gone to a church or you are at home seated or you are somewhere, but that communication of all your issues to God, you know, is also called prayer. So people are praying even when they don't know that they are praying because we don't understand what prayer is.
Kati Bob, do you see the problem that we have here? Jethro is my witness. Peterson was here because Peterson is one of the longest members of iTiS, by the way, for your information. Peterson Asimwe was here with us when we discussed prayer. Jethro, am I right?
Yep.
Asimo was here, but you see, you have not understood Asimo. Asimo baba ina kyagala okujja mu luguudo. Buli mundu evaayo. Katuuso, bomu, biki. I was here. Hold on, Peterson. I was here. And I told about prayer and I told you, you can even be walking. No, you can. You can even be lying on you can even be working on your keyboard abakozesa computer. No, you can nemuka. The liturgical approach of prayer erese religionism nevaamu abantu tebakyasaba kakati ng'abantu bennyini bagifudde cult. So principles bazita kyekyo Bobu kyabadde annyonnyola. Kakati ekya what is prayer and kakati muganda wange okuwuliriza nako kwagana.
Let me wait for you. It's okay.
Ate tulina moderator naye yakuvaako okola by'oyagala.
Olwaliro olunaku lwa Peterson kututwala speed.
Kakati bottom line Peterson bwe tugamba abantu muno you pray. But for instance there's something that I'm doing on the leader. I have done it I think twice. I know what the people at the leader are thinking. I know. Ati babera kuita kabagamba obaka tuona akola biki. Okuli owulize nga ndi mu kusaba nendi coding audio nensaba nensabira abantu kweyo group nembasabira. It is a Christian virtue and a value at the same time. Nawe ekyo kyoteeka okukola oteeka okusabira mukyala wo family yo. Okay? Nosabira family y'abaana bo ne mukyala wo oba bbaawo ne mukyala wo nosabira family yo wabwe kitaawo ne nnyoko ne baganda oteeka okusaba. Pray for them. Oteeka okusaba. Oteeka okubaako fellowship gy'ogenda oba muyimbye ne musinza ani muyiza ekigambo ne mukikolako discussion kati nga kati bwe tukola. This is also another fellowship. Oteeka okujja ngera mbeebaza buli kaseera okuteekako data wamwe ne mujja wano. Naye ne physical fellowship nayo yeetaagisa kubanga bwe mukuŋŋaana bwe muti ate kibeera different from this online. Just watadde akantu ka AI nako twetaaga ka discussing that time will come nga twogera ku fellowship. So ndowooleza ddala nti those are Christian virtues. Naye tewali akutaddeko tteeka. Fe abakristaayo tetugamba nti bw'otajje tojja bw'otaasabye tojja kufuna by'oyagala tojja kufuna mikisa nga tusabye. Si kye tugamba nedda tugamba bugambi nti this God that you worship you have to communicate with each other. Oteeka okwogera ne Katonda ono naye n'ayogera naawe. By'ayogedde naawe bireetera abooluganda babigayegaye mbala oba Katonda yayogedde naawe oba omwoyo omulala gwe gwayogedde naawe. So eno si ddiini. Kakati gwe kiri kyotuleetera abantu bakifuula ddiini. People go to church to get rich. People fast and pray to get rich. That is not the Christian way. So this is what we encourage. Era mbasaba mubeere devotional. Tewaliwo kibabeezaawo ekyo kiri logiko ekyo kiri kinze philosophy namusoma logic mumanyi ne bontwala mu logic tujja kuzuuzu. Kakati ebiri logiko mbimanyi. Era bwombuuza kiri okusaba kiri logiko ye kiri logiko. Why? Because communication is logical. Okugenda ku church kiri logiko kiri logiko. Lwaki? Kubanga there is what we call sociology. Ebintu byofuna mu sociology physically ng'oli ne banno si byofuna ng'oli ku simu ng'okyatinga n'omuntu si byofuna. Peterson yasinga okunkayanya naye bwe tuba tuli ffenna nga twogera bwe tuti emboozi efulowinga bulungi kubanga ebyo byayingira bwe tuba tuli babiri byanguwa naye bwe tubeera nga nze ndi eno wala bw'ayingiramu ngenda off balance naye bwe tuba nga tuliraaniganye bwe tuti n'omulunyaako tuswikinga ne twevuga bulungi. Kati Katonda teyali mu siroga nti do not desert fellowship in Hebrews 10:25. So these things are important, ladies and gentlemen. Ebintu ebirala ebikulu ennyo nga they are Christian virtues okugaba lwakuba ate abasumba bababuulira muli kati bo babisomesa ebitundu bya 10 mubireete mufune omukisa. Kati nze ekyewange nakijjawo ne ngamba nedda. Beera committed, kola commitment ku fellowship eno. Oteekemu ensimbi zo kubanga Mukama akuwadde omukisa. Abantu baagaana okutuwa. Era abakkiriza okutuwa mulaba bwe mwenkana. Abala baagaana kubanga baamanya nti tubataasizza ekikolimo. Bulijjo bawa nga batya kikolimo. Kati bw'obaggyeko ekikolimo tebakola. Kati ezo mbeera za kukyuka omuntu oba takyukanga. Naye bw'ogenda mu maaso ng'osembeera Katonda ogenda okyuka ogenda obiyiga bigenda byanguwa. So mbeegayiridde mikwano gyange, you must be devotional Christians. You must not only be mental Christians. Ndaba ba theologian eri nga beekalakaasa ku gundi sine ba theologian in fact. Bano abalina letters of apology nga bali eyo ekyo gundi tagamba bwati ekyo gundi Greek tagamba bwati Hebrew tagamba bwati eyo Old Testament eyo Old Covenant ebyokuba kati mu New Covenant nga ne Covenant tagimanyi bwe tugituulako okugyogera. Kati ebyo nanno birungi kubanga biraga nti abantu bayiga biraga nti abantu bafaayo otyo naye we are experiential human beings. We are devotional and emotional beings. Tuteekwa buteekwa ebintu bye tumaze okutegeera mu magezi tubivungisaamu tutya. How do we translate that into our lifestyle? Ekyo bayita Christian life. Christian life si kwata mateeka buno tobbanga kyokka nedda. Christian life esukkawo. Kati kiri Peterson kyobadde ombuuza bannaffe bali aba Pentecost bannaffe ndowooza n'abakatoliki abasapuli n'abasiraamu abaakalaadi they have abused prayer kubanga omusiraamu agenda okusaala eswala 5 ng'etteeka ne bw'aba tayagala ateeka okutuukiriza obusiraamu. Bw'atuuka eri asaba mu lulimi olutali lulwe Oluwalabu. Ebigambo byakozesa oluusi beera na biwandiike. Anglican Church erina written prayers ezirina simanyi mukyazirina Peterson erina written prayers n'ebitabo biramba byafuna.
We have a prayer book of 1653. It was written in 1653.
Kakati okwo si kusaba abuse on prayer. Nosanga abantu baganye okulya emmere bakuba ebisenge ndi mu ddulaayi Mukama ateeka okikola. Na omuntu nabeera nga asaba Mukama olwaleero
Isaiah
wanyi muganda wange
kakati olaba by the way I think the my arguments will help you to continue researching further about God. But you see the problem, your
And I
conclusions
appreciate
and your conclusions and your analysis is, first of all, they are personal. Naye kakati, you always want to make them objective. Because if you say that you pray, then and there's no standard of how many or how someone should pray or how someone should pray, then now you don't have the right to again say that the person who has prayed, however he has prayed, he has prayed in a wrong way. So now that's why you go wrong, because if the issue is praying, then
ate ekipetuso nekizibu kyene Zoom abantu tebakunyambako kwegamba osoberwa oba abantu bonna babeera bategedde nga pedi
kakati now you see Isaiah,
if I remember,
you see,
Isaiah yagambye bwaliwo confusion nga tuddayo ku principles. Kakati Mukama amatu agatazibye awulira abantu be, ate lwaki bwekuba mu ttaka kyetugamba. So from that point,
that is how he has decided. That is how he has decided. Because you see, okwekuba mutaka, that is a personal. Because you see, we have said it's a communication between God and that person. Isaiah, what is your problem? Kubanga nze nsose kubuza principle. Nze mbale manyi mu theology. Muina principles ze muina. How we are supposed to pray. Ogambye principles biri. You pray as many times as you can and pray as little times as you can. Then the second principle was what I've forgotten. So me, I thought that in the original theology, the one which is connecting with God, you have those principles documented.
Kakati principle number 2 gye weerabidde Edison. Yekola principle number 1. Pray what? Pray who? Owulira? Kakati gwe okwekuba mu ttaka. N'okusiiba n'okuyiriitira. Ekyo ekigambo ky'oluzungu kyera tekirizoneetinga na who you are praying to God.
According to what principle?
Tufudde bannange. Kanti wuliriza muganda.
Where are you getting that? Where are you getting that it does not resonate? Because you see Isaiah,
Soko owulire mukwano.
Kale, okay.
Oganye. Kale genda mu maaso.
Okay, you can. Because you see, Isaiah, the things that you're saying are the same things that these religious people come and tell people. Now, and actually, you see, the only thing is that for you, you're just a pastor of big-headed people. A sheep is going to start saying that because Isaiah told me that I cannot pray like this, then I'm going to start doing that. That is what's happening the other side. Isaiah, me, I would say that if God has not told you, maybe if God has told you that whatever you do here, if you do this is wrong.
Earlier, Ron Peterson told you, and Jethro has reminded you that prayer is a communication between man and God.
True.
So, because prayer is a communication between man and God, man must understand how God perceives. Man must understand the willingness of God to respond or to give what man is praying for.
Okay.
That kind of understanding establishes the principles upon which prayer, aka communication, is built. So after you have understood who God is, how he perceives, and his will to give or not to give, then how you pray is patterned after that understanding.
Okay.
That is why we say that if you see people rioting in prayer, committing suicide in prayer, that exhibits and demonstrates either the kind of God they are praying to, or the understanding of that God they pray to.
Okay.
So if your pastor has taught you the God of 1 Kings 17, I think it's 17, where you have to pray and cut yourselves and blood starts dripping from your body, then you pray that way. But if your pastor has taught you that you don't need to do all that, your God understands. Speak to him. With your eyes closed or open, it doesn't matter. Kneeling or standing, it doesn't matter. At noon or in the morning, it doesn't matter. If your pastor has taught you that, then your prayer will be patterned against, or at least on, that principle.
Okay.
So, Edson, the people that you see praying like that, you are right, Edson. It is their pastors that have told them that. And this is where I disagree with Bob, that let people pray as they want. No, people do not want to pray that way. People have been told to pray that way. Yes, they have been told. So,
because
yes.
Isaiah, you see the issue we are trying to bring is how does God want people to pray? One, we have a pastor who is saying pray like this, then you have a pastor who is saying pray like this. Okay. And
now to answer that question, our time is up. I want to pick up on that question. How does God want us to pray? Now, to answer that question, we go back to the principle: who is this God? Question number one: does he love us? Yes, he does. Does he want to give us whatever we ask? Yes, he does. Okay. Has he told us to pray to him? Has he? According to the biblical verses, yes, he has. He has told us. He has told us to ask. Okay, good, fine. Now, after those 3-4 questions that we have asked, then now we cannot fast and pray and roll in mud and hit walls. If we know that this God is willing, why are we praying like he's not willing? If we know that this God hears, even in silence, even when you don't utter a word, why are we even shouting? 3 square miles. Great, thank you. Our time is up.
It's just like violence.
No,
Anyway.
because me, I'm just wondering if God says you pray, as Isaiah has told us, but he hasn't told us how to pray.
Yes.
And he hasn't told us how to pray. So does the way you pray matter? Because the thing is praying. So how you pray, it doesn't matter.
It matters because your knowledge of this God and your experience keeps changing. You cannot be rolling in the mud as an infant, and even when you grow up, you're still rolling in the mud. That's what you're saying. You grow, you outgrow.
What shows that, Jed, let me ask you, what shows that someone who is rolling in the mud has little understanding about God, and someone who is praying while his eyes are open has a much understanding about God?
And it goes back to what I said.
Are you seeing the subjectivity in this?
Are you seeing the subjectivity in this? I'm saying, I think the principle, we started on the issue of principle from the beginning. You pray, and God will guide you. If you're, as someone has said, if you're rolling in mud now, maybe 3 years to come, you will not roll in mud. But the issue is you are communicating to your God in the best way you know at that time. So,
exactly.
Yes. And I'm not saying people shouldn't roll in mud. If that's all they know for now, I think that's okay. Bob, I'm not saying people shouldn't roll in mud. If that's all you know, it is okay. But what you're
You can
saying,
have
10 years later, with this God, you have walked a journey. Should you still be rolling in the mud? That is what we are saying.
And the question is, Jet, what is the problem with rolling in the mud? Because you see, you're still typing
Benson,
rolling in mud.
what is wrong with an
and-
adult pooping in their pants? That is the question you're asking. That is the question you're asking. Why shouldn't an adult poop in their pants? And yet a child can. That is the question you're asking, Pete. Come on. Because when you grow up, you're expected to do certain things an adult does.
Because you
So
see,
we can't be debating why a 30-year-old still susus on the bed. That is what you're saying. Because they can susu on their bed, that's their right. Yes, but they're 30 years old. That's what you're saying. So
You are
you've worked with
judging a
this.
book by its cover.
You've worked
judging
with this
a book by
God
its
for
cover.
30 years, sincerely. You started off by rolling in the mud. Yes, that's what you knew at the time. But 30
now
years later, 30 years later, or 50 years,
you've
that's what you're
reminded me
saying.
when I just gotten saved. You know, now Anglicans have those things of Pentecostalism. They measure your growth in faith. That now, if you can fast for 5 days, then it means that you've grown. If you can speak in tongues, it means that you've grown. So really, so really, you can actually see, because you see, you guys, if we say that this is experience, because what we started from, I will not have any problem with however or whatever how someone prays, because this is him and God. This is his business. Now, when we start saying that when you start saying that this is how when you start saying that this is how you're supposed to pray, with time you're going to start finding that you're actually now becoming like Muslims. Now you're supposed to pray 5 times a day. Because
nobody has said, actually, if you've been listening, I've not even said this is how we're supposed to pray. We're just questioning why an adult is still susuing in their pants.
No, Jet, when you question what someone is doing now, it means that you expect him to do something something different.
Because knowledge of God changes. The reason why we laugh at the Old Testament stories is because that's what they knew at the time. In 2023, we know better, so we can't be going back to the Old Testament stories and believing magic over things we know now. That's what we're saying, Pete. It doesn't mean those guys were stupid. No, it's what they knew at the time. But 2023, 2,000 years later, with the human development and science and everything we know, why should you still believe those magic stories in the Bible? What we are saying is that necessarily condemning them? No. If someone rolls in the mud because that's what they know, I don't condemn them. But I'm saying they need to work with this God and change certain things, because this God works with us to grow and outgrow and to drop things.
I think
that is my argument. Yes, let's listen to the lady. Maybe she'll make us understand.
Also, what you're saying, that sometimes the way we pray is a misconception of who God is. If we are dry fasting for 9 days and rolling in the mud, it's like we're saying God is a sadist. He wants to see you suffer in deep agony. Then you say, now you have reached where I want you. You know, it's because we think we have to do certain things for God to accept us, for God to bless us, and to please God. And sometimes we use it as a measure of holiness, because I'm doing this, I'm speaking in tongues, now I'm so holy. Or I'm fasting many days, then God will accept me, God will bless me. But I think the reason why we pray to God is to show our allegiance, you know, to show that we are building a love relationship with this person, with this God, and we have
to show
faith
him
in him.
As if he doesn't know.
Benson,
you want to show him as if he doesn't know?
Benson, just even look at how we communicate as human beings. When you started dating Amara those many years ago, dates, I don't know how many times a week, you still take on those dates. Or you have outgrown certain things. Even in your communication with Amara.
They have reduced, the dates reduced.
Your communication has changed, your level of relationship has grown. Now there are things you do, and she's not even surprised, though there are things, you know. So with God, you're saying you need to go back to those days of early dating and stay there. That's what you're saying.
Now, for us mature Christians like me, for us, we even don't pray. Because really the guy gave us each and everything. So how is that? Because you see why I'm laughing
No,
at you
Benson,
condemning someone.
that is a contradiction for you to say, me as a mature Christian, I don't communicate with my God, because prayer is communication. So how can you say, me, a married man of 50 years, I don't communicate with my wife anymore? So what is that really? What is that?
But communication
I
is
don't
not only
communicate with my.
communicating to God is not in prayer.
It is in what exactly? What else?
It's not only in prayer, like saying the word that
It
only
is in
God
what
communicates.
else?
It's like
It is in
saying
what
God
else?
speaks.
Benson, it's in what else?
Hey, you guys, you mean that we only communicate to God through prayer?
How do you tell us other ways, Benson? We're asking. Tell us.
Other ways is like appreciating nature.
What do you mean appreciating nature? You mad?
Hey,
How do you appreciate nature?
When you look at the things that God has created, I've told you, Emma, that atheist, he keeps saying, yes, I agree there is something behind this, but me, I just don't name, I just say that it is God. So that means in his mind, there's always that constant thing that is telling him, but man, I think there's something behind this. Everyone thinks about God in our mind. There's no way that you can be there and you're not thinking about God.
Thinking about God and communicating with God are two different things, babe. They're two different things.
Now you see.
So for me,
nature, it is also part of prayer, because prayer is not all about asking God to do ABC. Prayer has those components, praising God, of doing. So when you look at nature and you marvel, you are already in the concept of prayer and worship.
Praying.
And Jet is saying praying, you have to kneel down and
person, don't put words in my mouth. Don't put words in my mouth. This conversation is even recorded. We can play it back. Don't put words in my mouth. I've not talked about kneeling and praying. I've just said, and let me, as I finish, this is my final parting shot. I'm saying, even the way you communicate with your spouse in the beginning, the communication grows and the relationship grows. You mature or you outgrow certain things. You take on new things. So even in our relationship with God and how we pray, things change. If we started off by rolling in the mud because that's what we knew, that's fine. But 20, 30 years later, we know better. If we are relating with this God, I think we outgrow and drop certain things, we pick up new things. That is my parting shot. You can also give yours.
My parting shot is I think one is we are trying to understand this God. So how I understand him, how the other person understands him, how we understand him, that one we leave it to the person who has understood. The only problem is when you say that you're not doing it right, or you haven't understood him like how I understand him. That's the problem where it comes from. Like
is there a right and wrong way of praying or even worshiping God or communicating?
No, there's no right and wrong. It's not there. Hey,
okay.
Edison, do you congregate? Edison, do you congregate?
Me, I'm a head of laity.
So do you sing some hymns and worship songs in your church? Yes,
religiously.
Do you know that some of those songs are actually prayers? Someone writes a prayer in a song and you worship that song. So maturity as a Christian is that we even go beyond. When we go to worship, it's not a religious thing. You actually focus on the words that you're singing and realize that you're actually praying. So I'm glad that you still congregate. So you really are a prayer person. So continue congregating.
And I congregate for religious matters.
Edson congregates for social reasons, not God reasons. Anyway.
Edson abagenze kuumaka fooke.
Abanoonya ddiiru z'aba-Anglican be bawagira hardware we. Kale mubeere bulungi.
Kale.
Kuddamu Thursday, Mukama bakuume.